Good morning. Welcome back. If you were not here yesterday, as we started this series on aligning our faith with our business so that we can achieve these big goals like 5K, 10K, or more months, but ultimately creating kingdom impact with our business. If you missed that yesterday, our first one, go ahead and look back at that. Take a look and join in the conversation. But you don't have to in order to be here today because today, we are going to recap some of what we talked about yesterday, and I am so excited to be here with you on this topic. It is so near and dear to my heart, knowing, especially as entrepreneurs, that we have felt called to something. And so we're stepping out in faith. We're doing the do every day, right? To earn an income for ourselves and to serve people, but ultimately wanting to do something even bigger. And that's really what we get to allow God to do when we allow Him, as that sign says, to use our business as His mission field. We can do so much. And so thank you for being here. I just love getting this opportunity to be with you. So thank you. Would you just drop in the comments what profession you're in, the title you officially give yourself? That would be awesome to know who I'm talking to today. And then drop a heart if you are here for a reason. Like, you might have stumbled across this video, but maybe even in the introduction, you're like, oh yeah, that's for me. Drop a heart if that's for you. If you saw the event pop up and you're like, okay, that title sounds interesting. I want kingdom impact. I want to align my business with my faith. Drop a heart if that is you as well. I just know, like, this alignment between our faith and our business, where we feel that we're called and then allowing God to lead us, that is where true change begins. And that is where lasting impact takes place. And so, so yesterday we started, and I said I was going to continue this as we go. So we're going to meet today, and then tomorrow is our last day together. And I won't take up a lot of your time. But yesterday we started by talking about the parable of the talents. And if you don't know that one, basically this man, a master, a wealthy man, he was probably a businessman, probably an investor himself. He was leaving to go on a long trip. And so he asked his three servants to take care of his talents, his finances, his arrangements, right? He asked them to take care of it while he was gone. And the first two servants, they actually invested the money and they were able to double the talents for him. And he was so pleased when he came back. When he came back from his trip, he met with them and they gave him this money and he was like, well done. To you, there's going to be so much. I'm going to grant you a lot. Here's your reward. But then for the third servant, he actually took his money, the master's money, and he hid it. He buried it. And so when we think of that, he probably had good intentions, right? But the master wasn't pleased with him in burying it. In fact, the master was like, why didn't you invest this? Like, that was the least that you could have done, was grown interest on this, but you hid it instead. So, so there's a lot that we can learn from this parable about business. And we went over a couple of them yesterday. We talked about stewardship, being a good steward of all that God's given us, including our talents, our gifts, and our abilities. And then to also have good stewardship over those we are called to lead. And if you're in online marketing and sales, it's not just your clients or customers. It is literally everybody that we are associating with online. Those are the people that God has placed in our lives, and we're to be good stewards of all of them. The other thing is God values investment and growth. And we see that in this parable. Again, if you missed yesterday, definitely go back because there were so many incredible nuggets that were brought out. Investing in ourselves, the things that, just like the man who hid the talents in the ground when he buried them, he didn't allow them to grow. Right? He didn't do anything with them. He hid them. And so we can look at our gifts and abilities as the same thing. If we hide them or keep them to ourselves, they're never going to grow. But if we invest in them, our time, our energy, even our money to grow those, we can better impact others around us. And then the third thing we talked about yesterday was accountability, being accountable to God, those men being accountable to their master, but also being accountable to others in our industry. And so if you don't have an accountability tribe, if you feel like you're struggling in business alone, if you want to have people there cheering you on and vice versa, please come into our community, the Productive and Profitable Business Community. We would love to have you. And that's what we're about in there, really supporting each other. I like to say no entrepreneur left behind. So we are sharing tips and tricks and strategies and our personal stories and goals and everything you can think of. It's a fabulous place. So please come and join us in there. But today we're going to talk about two more lessons that this parable teaches us. The first is about fear, and the second one is about being diligent in our work. So fear. Right? Fear can be a barrier. The third servant who buried the talents in the ground, he did that out of fear of either losing it or fear of it being stolen, right? He didn't want to let his master down. And so fear of letting him down, right? But that fear also held him back because he buried it, he didn't have room for growth and expansion, right? He didn't have room to grow that or even gain interest, a little bit of interest on it, like the master said. So when the master came back, he was disappointed in him. So fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of inadequacy, all of those things, if we are living in fear, or if we are giving fear of failure or those things reign in our life, then we are missing the opportunity to take bold steps. We're missing the opportunity for growth in ways that we don't even know is possible. So instead, of course, we want to embrace a mindset of courage, of abundance. We want to trust that God has equipped us. My notes are in the way here. He has equipped us for the journey that we're on, and that we can take action. We don't have to sit in fear that something's going to fail. Instead, if we feel like, hey, this is where I'm called to, we have to take action. We have to be bold and not let fear hold us back from taking those next steps, because somewhere in there in that next step is going to be the next advancement, whether that advancement is for you income wise, or maybe to better benefit your clients or customers, right? So what happens then? My throat's a little dry. I should have brought some water down. So what happens then when these fears pop up for us? There's a lot of things that we face on a daily basis as entrepreneurs. Now, I don't work in a brick and mortar. All of my work is online, and I feel like I'm pretty good at handling social media. Like I get on, I do my work, and I get off. I don't really use social media for personal stuff anymore. And that feels good to me. But in saying that, it's still social media, right? And I don't know about you, but I see lots of stuff pop up. So it is very easy to all of a sudden think, oh gosh, I don't know if I can do this. Or look at so-and-so, they're doing this. Should I be doing that, right? And all of these fears or limiting beliefs pop up that could essentially hold me back. And maybe that is something that you struggle with. Maybe some things pop up for you that you're like, I don't know. And you kind of put the brakes on for a minute. Well, every single time we put the brakes on, even if it's just for a moment, it decreases the momentum we were on. And there's like I don't know the exact number, but it's like every 8 minutes or something, we get interrupted. And then if we get like during work time, and so I know this is not the same as a mom, a work from home mom. Okay. You probably get interrupted way more. Ding, ding. Yeah. Okay. But for the most part, let's just say you get interrupted every 8 minutes or so. Well, every time we get interrupted, it takes our brain about 20 minutes to actually get into deep work mode. So if we are constantly interrupted every 8 minutes, it takes us longer to get back into working deeply, flowing deeply. And so why am I saying this? Oh, yes. So momentum, right? So anytime something pops up, it causes us to slow down. It breaks up the momentum. Just like when we're interrupted, it breaks us down from that concentration. And it takes time to build it back up so that we can be focused again. All right. So it is important when things pop up for us that we immediately capture it. God tells us to take every thought captive. Now, he doesn't tell us a whole lot about how to do that, but if we just think simply, right, that anything that is good, when we are Christ, right, when we have accepted Jesus into our lives, he is in us. So it's no longer us that lives, it's Christ that lives in us, right? Galatians 2:20. Okay. In saying that, when things pop up that are not in alignment with God, when they attack your character or your identity, when they make you self-doubt, when they make you feel inadequate, those thoughts are not yours. They are not God's thoughts. They are the world's thoughts. They are the enemy's thoughts. They are not your own. So when those pop up, which I don't think they're ever going to stop, but the more that you practice taking thoughts captive, the easier it will become to get back to center over time, the more and more you practice this. Okay, so when those thoughts come up, the best way to take those thoughts captive is to just say, no, that's not my truth. No, that's not for me. And then replace it with what the truth really is. A really great practice, especially when it comes to our business, for discovering what some of these limited beliefs are to simply answer a question, which I'll tell you in a minute. Okay. So if you want to do this little exercise with me real quick, grab something to write on and a piece of paper, just chicken scratch, doesn't matter. Okay. Are you ready? Thanks for training me. Thanks for dropping hearts. Okay. So I'm going to say something to you and I want you to write the first 3 things that come to your mind. So I'm going to say a statement. I'm going to say it 3 times, and each time you're going to write down something new. Are you ready? Okay. Sales is, and sales is. Take a look at the words that you've written down. Did you write fun? Did you write exciting? Did you write hard? It's important to know the first things that come to your mind because those are the things that your brain honestly thinks. So if you wrote anything negative there, right? If you wrote something negative, it's no wonder that sometimes sales can be very difficult for you or can feel difficult. Another one, ready? Marketing is. Feel free to share them in the comments. Okay. And so if you do this again for business, go ahead, just write down what are the first 3 things that come to your mind for business. Business is what? Business is. Okay, so looking at the words that you have, sales is, marketing is, business is, you should have at least 9 words written now, right? So when you look at those, if there's anything that's like great and positive, well, congratulations. That means that area is probably not too difficult for you. But if you have negative words in there, that's an indicator that those are things that are holding you back. Those are actual limiting beliefs. If you feel like business is hard, business is complicated, if that's what pops up for you, you have to rewrite that and reframe it. Otherwise, every time you get to work, you're going to dread it. You might be in a good mood, but once you actually sit down, it's like all of a sudden, wait, business is hard. Oh, I just don't know if I'm ready for this. Oh, right. So those are limiting beliefs. So when those things come up, we're going to take those thoughts captive and we're going to immediately tell us the truth. So what is the truth? Because sometimes we tend to think like we overthink this, right? We'll overthink it and we'll think like, well, I don't know. What is the truth? That business isn't hard for me. Well, I mean, maybe you could say that to yourself to the point that maybe one day your brain believes it. Or you could simply just say, business is harder than I want it to be right now because I'm learning new processes. Okay. Sales is more difficult than I want it to be right now because the industry is slowed down or whatever it is. Okay. So tell yourself what the truth is. And then anytime those thoughts pop up, you stop them. Okay. You're online, you're looking at somebody and you think, oh my goodness, she's so confident. I am not that confident. No, that is not my truth. I don't feel confident in that area right now because I'm still learning how to do it. That is truth. And that is a way better thought to take in than saying that you are not confident. Okay. So think of these things. Think of these things. Let's move on because we're going to run out of time today. That is such a huge deal. Okay. The next part of this parable tells us about having faithful and diligent work. Okay. The master commended those first two for their faithful and diligent work. He actually rewarded them. Okay. So let's look at the words. Faithful actually means remaining loyal and steadfast. So essentially, when crap hits the fan, right? You stay in steadfast pursuit of the goal. You don't quit. Okay, you are staying faithful to it, remaining loyal, trusting that if God brought this to you, if he's called you his, he's going to remain faithful to you too. The next word is diligent. Okay, diligent means to be characterized by steady, earnest, and energetic effort, painstaking. Again, proving to endure through trials and giving it your all. It reminds me of Colossians when it says, whatever you do, do it heartily as if for the Lord and not for men. Okay, so diligent work, diligent, painstaking, continuing on through the hard because you know that this is where God has called you. Okay, and then consistency, hard work, and dedication, of course, are essential. So we can align our work ethic with those values, knowing that faithfulness and diligence in our work is a form of honoring God. So in our business, we want to be steadfast. We want to be faithful and continue on, even if we're going through a hard season, because not every season in business is easy or simple, right? There are seasons of growth, seasons of let's do this, seasons of, just, I don't even know the word for it right now, a lull. Okay. But we're going to remain steadfast through it because we trust that God is going to be faithful. And if we continue to show up in business with the principles he's given us, it's inevitable that we will have success. Okay. All right. So I also have foundation written here. So just like the servants knew their master, right? They knew their master. They knew deep down that they knew what he wanted. They knew what he expected because we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Because he was a businessman and probably an investor himself, they were close to him. They hung out with him. So they knew deep down really what he would have expected. Okay. So right now, we are in the stage of building these foundational principles for our business, the things that we know God would expect of us as leaders in the industry, as entrepreneurs in the online space or in the offline space, right? So this means that our actions are going to align with his. Our business decisions are going to align with these principles too, okay? This is really cool. Once we get these foundational pieces in place and we understand, okay, faithfulness and diligent work, accountability, all the things that we talked about so far, being a good steward, when all of those things are in good place, when decisions come up that you have to make in business, this is when you align it with that. If you're asked to do something that doesn't align with these values and these core principles, this foundation, you say no. You say no. So this is the foundational backbone of all that we do in business. And we can use these values and principles as our operating procedures, essentially, okay, to ensure that we are indeed showing up in alignment with our faith and business. So what we are learning here is the groundwork. It sets us up for the growth and expansion that we want. I also want to tell you about a very unique opportunity, and I want to invite you to take the next step with me so that you can establish and practice the skills that you are going to need to actually reach the bigger goals. Okay, so here, yesterday, today, even tomorrow, we're diving really deep into foundational pieces to carry off in our business. But now I want to talk to you about building those skills. So I want to invite you to join me in my newest business intensive. It is called the Sales Reboot. I am beyond excited about this. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about the transformations that are going to take place. Like, it is legit. Okay. This is a 6-week mastermind with coaching calls, work sessions, training modules, just to start off, designed to give you ultimate clarity in your offers, help you to master the art of attracting and engaging new prospects that will turn into new clients. And this program will also help you create a consistent sales strategy so that you can actually achieve those big monetary goals that you are hoping to make, especially as we move into this last quarter of the year. So if you are ready to wake up to a business that actually excites you and motivates you, because you know exactly what to do and what to say, friend, this is for you. And if you are ready to fully step into the CEO that you are intended to be, establishing yourself as the one in the industry that people are banging on the doors to work with, doesn't that sound amazing? If that is what you want, this is for you. And if you are ready to stop spinning your wheels and stop doing it alone, this is for you as well. So what we've been talking here about in this series is the foundational piece. The strategy of it all begins inside of the sales reboot. So I highly, highly encourage you to join us. We start officially on September 12th. You can drop the word sales in the comments below, or you can shoot me a message and we can talk more about it. I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. If you are looking for a community, make sure you join us over in Productive and Profitable. Okay. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to speak into your life this morning, and come back tomorrow. Okay. Come back tomorrow. Until then, will you take some time to journal about what we've gone over today? Reflect on that parable. Ask God to show you and lead you into the next steps that He has for you. Yeah. And of course, if you want to reboot your sales process or lack thereof, love you, baby. Drop the word sales below, and we'll make sure you get the information for that. So thanks so much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.